All right, we are live on YouTube. And I'm just waiting on the video to connect on my other monitor so that I can grab that link and put it inside of our free business mastermind group so that our members can join us here easily and conveniently on the live morning show here on YouTube. Let's see here. All right, we got the link. Let me grab it. All right, let me put that in the group. Okay. That is posting and cycling through. So let me go back to the live YouTube so that I can make sure that I can see the live chat. So that those of you that are joining us live, I can see you trying to talk to us and engage with us. All right. Great. Oh, crap. What did I just do with that? All right. I'm ready to get started. What would you need to put in place now so your business projects can bring in more money without requiring more of your time later? Today, we're answering the question, what would happen to your revenue if you finished every project twice as fast while improving the quality? Okay, so we're going to talk about better and faster projects for profit. And this is coming from this week's blog, Project to Profit, Key Elements of Executing Projects for Solopreneurs. If you would like to follow along, you can go to shaycannon.com/projects with an S. That's shaycannon.com/projects with an S. Okay. Now, today is the last morning show, not of all time, that's next week, but the last morning show where we are guided by a blog. And when I decided what blog this was going to be for this week, I wanted to dip into my skill set to have something that you can refer back to in these past episodes as a resource to help you grow your business and your revenue. And the one thing that I thought about that I am a beast at that I have not shared with you yet is how to run projects. Okay, so I don't mean being a certified project manager, PMP. I don't mean being a scrum master or even knowing how to do agile projects. All I mean is I need you to know the basics of how to run projects, both internally within your business and externally that touch other people outside of your business, because almost everything that we do are groups of tasks that make up projects. So you need to know how to run projects, okay? Now, part one was on Monday, and what we talked about was the project life cycle. What are the different phases of most projects in general? What do they have in common? Okay, so we talked about what they were, why they're important, what's a common obstacle to each phase, and the solution to that obstacle. So if you need that information, go back to part one. Part two on Tuesday was about PMS, and I'm not talking about lady issues. I'm talking about project management systems, a platform that is going to be the hub and the heartbeat of all of your projects. Okay, you need one place where everything associated with a certain project, you can go there and find it. Even if there are other platforms, other things, there's a link to it in this one place. So you can go to one place and find everything about that project. So that's why it's important. And we talked about 10 strategies on how to best utilize a project management system. I even gave you, I think it was 5 to 6 features that your platform should have to successfully use a PMS. All right. Then yesterday was part three. We brought it all together. We talked about how to actually manage the projects themselves, the flow of the projects. Execution management is what I'm calling it. I don't like to say project management often because that gives a connotation of them certified people, and you know they kind of crazy. And when you ain't certified, they think you don't know what you're talking about. So we just say execution management around here. Okay. So how to run your actual projects, the things you should be doing within the phases of executing the projects. We talked about that on yesterday, the things that are important, 10 strategies to manage projects better. Okay. So we talked about that yesterday. If you need that, go back to yesterday. Today, we are ending this series with basically optimization, right? Better and faster. Once you run a project, we then want to know how do we make it better the next time. Okay, everything within entrepreneurship, I'm sorry, is about doing it right, failing fast, doing it, and then optimizing it from having done it. It don't have to be perfect, but you should be in always in the process of perfecting it. Okay, don't have to be perfect, but you should be in the process of perfecting it, and that's optimization. So let's talk about it. Better and faster. Improving the speed and quality of project completion is one of the most valuable skills an entrepreneur can develop. The ability to make projects better and faster directly impacts your profit, client satisfaction, and your business growth. So, when you refine how efficiently work is managed and delivered, every project becomes an opportunity to increase credibility and increase your revenue. It's not about rushing around building precision. We said that, right? Into the process. So it's all about the quality of the outcome and the things that you can achieve with less time, less effort, fewer resources. Okay, so less wasted time and less effort. The real power lies in creating a rhythm that balances excellence with efficiency, allowing a business to grow sustainably while consistently delivering results that reflect its true value. Optimization is the key, okay? So that was the blog, but I give you more here on the morning show. So let me pull up these show notes and get into these strategies, okay? So the phases of a project. That was part 1. You know that you need a hub platform, a PMS. That was part 2. You know how that once you have documented your phases, you have a platform to become your hub, and you start putting everything in there to start executing on this project to completion. Now we're on the last step, which is, now that we've completed a project, we're going to optimize how this project would go the next time we have the same kind of project or do the same types of tasks that were done in this project. Okay, so let's talk about 10 top strategies to create better and faster projects for profit. All right, listen closely, because this is how we make what we've done better. So all of y'all that think you're supposed to do it perfect the first time is dang near impossible. You're human and you're an imperfect being, so it's hard for you to do things perfectly, especially the first time, okay? So this is how you become a person that is perfecting it and actually doing that failing forward rather than just failing. Let's go to number 1. Number 1, identify project creep triggers, okay? And install boundaries. And when I say creep, I'm talking about CREEP, in case the Alabama got in the way. Creep, okay? Things that give you the creeps or give you the ick about doing certain projects. We don't need to ignore these things, okay? If it gives you the ick, that means something about it isn't aligned with you. And we need to now put in boundaries so we don't feel the ick and the creep. Okay, so analyze what causes projects to expand beyond their original scope. This protects your profit and your time. Okay, I know this is one of the conversations me and Shawana Kenny Media have all the time, because your clients are always going to try to get more for their money. They're always going to think of more things that they need, and because you're already doing one part of it, maybe you can go ahead and add in these other things. They're always going to have a self-interest. And it's your job to protect your business growth, your business time, and your business profit. Because the more you're doing for the same money as the original contract and agreement, you're losing money. Okay. So number 1, identify project ick triggers. Okay. Number 2, standardize handoffs between project phases. This is where a lot of projects lose time. Okay. It's kind of like when we talk about the client journey in the 6 steps, right? We talk about you need steps for each of the steps, right? We need to know how that process goes, but we also need to know the process with going from one step to another. See, some people only talk about steps of phases. They never talk about or consider how to go from one phase to the next phase. So create a clear process for handing off one phase to the next. This removes confusion and speeds execution. All right? Because especially when going from one phase to another means it's going from one role to another or one person to another. Okay? One type of action to another. There needs to be some type of handoff. And the more you can make that automatic, the better. Okay? For example, in the project management system that we talked about automatic triggers. So if there is a task for completing the first phase, you can have it automatically trigger a task where it notifies the next person to start the next phase. That's just an example. But even if it is a person and it's not automated. You have to let them know. We're going to talk about this a little more, but you have to let them know that a part of them ending their phase is notifying the next person to start the next phase. Okay? Keep that in mind. All right, number 3. Install a completion cost audit before moving forward with a project and throughout the project. Let me tell you what I mean by this. Verify the true cost of every phase before you execute it, okay? And this prevents hidden expenses that eat into your profit margin. So this is why when you are phasing out your projects before you start accepting money for them, you have to start thinking about what is every expense, okay? Even those intangible expenses. For example, if you have a project management system that you're not on the free plan and you're paying for it, some portion of that cost should be paid by the client because you have to use that tool, that tech, to run their project. So some of that needs to go to the client, okay? So you need to think about everything that goes into you running that project, okay? But also, throughout the project, you need to add what we're going to call profit checkpoints, okay? So that you're looking and making sure there's nothing that's a hidden cost that's popping up or something you didn't think about or something that came out of nowhere, okay? Because we then need to add that so that we can know, hey, we might need to raise the cost of this kind of project next time because that is a cost that we didn't expect and it ate into our profit, okay? So that was installing completion cost audit, okay? Before and during the project. Number 4, adopt a quality threshold review before final delivery, okay? Add in some type of short review phase dedicated solely to ensuring that this deliverable is what it needs to be for the client, following all standards and client expectations before it gets to the client. Okay? Sometimes you are so busy trying to hurry up and finish and hurry up and get it to the client, you might miss things that the client expected. And guess what the client is going to do? They're going to be like, I know in the meeting I told them it was important to me that this be included, and where is it? Or does this look anything like what I told you I wanted? You don't want to experience that, okay? That is going to be dissatisfaction, and you will pay for that in the end, all right? Even if you get it right the second time, that shows a lack of detail. All right. So reduce the reworking and strengthen your brand reputation by adding in just this review step. Okay. Even if you have to execute it, because some of y'all, of course, solopreneurs, you execute it. And when you think you're finished, walk away, take a break or whatever, come with fresh eyes, look at it again, go over all your notes, go over the proposal, go over everything. Okay. Make sure it is what it's supposed to be or even better. Now, that's if you're a solopreneur. If you have a team, it's even more important for you to have this review stage before they just send stuff to your clients, because they are definitely going to try to hurry up and get it done and pass it off. Okay? So there needs to be a stage where you look at it and have eyeballs on it before it goes to the client. And that stage, y'all, needs to leave enough room for it to be revised and still get to the client on time. This is important to making it better and faster. Okay? Number 5, use a project capacity rule to block over commitment. We talk about capacity a lot in service-based businesses because it's the one thing that is not quite an obstacle for product-based businesses, right? Their capacity is always inventory. Our capacity is our time, right? That is our inventory, the number of hours we have left, not the number of products, but the number of hours we have to service stuff. So prevent overwhelm by creating a rule that limits the number of active projects you allow at one time. Okay, this protects your progress. It increases the quality. Now, we've talked about before, you can accept a deposit for people to get in line in the queue to be next. But if you're at capacity, don't accept anybody's money with them having the expectation that you immediately are going to start on their project, because it's not a true thing. And you don't want to get a bad reputation, because immediately they're going to feel like I paid my money and I'm getting nothing. Okay. So use your project capacity rule to block out overcommitment. Number 6, define completion standards that remove, we're going to say confusion, because the word is ambiguity, but I know I'm only going to be able to say that one time. Okay. So confusion. Create precise criteria for what finished looks like before starting any project. Okay. And I'm going to say, what does it look like per phase? All right. So not just checking off these, not just we're getting towards this result, them understanding the why. We kind of talked about that yesterday. It's important for them to know what the why is behind a task, behind a phase, behind a project. I'm going a step further. And I'm telling you, you need to tell them this phase, this task, this project is not over until have a statement of clarity. Okay, a statement of clarity that's going to help you as kind of a fail safe, as kind of a quality checkpoint. Okay, because some people just think, okay, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. All right, this phase is over. Let's go to the next phase. But they've done things that didn't give what needs to be completed to, with quality and without confusion, actually be in the next phase. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to have the task of a phase. I like to have the why this phase is important. I like to have why the tasks are important. But at the end of that thing that says these tasks, right? It's going to say this phase is completed when. Okay? That's what you need to go a step further and do. So that was complete. That was number 6, define completion standards that remove confusion. All right. Now, number 7, record energy impact for every project phase. This is for solopreneurs specifically. Note how each phase feels in your energy and your focus. This helps you to identify patterns that slow you down and drain your creativity. Okay. We talked about like what time of day are you more creative? Are you more strategic and doing things at that time? But I want you to look at actual phases of a project. There are certain phases of a project when I'm running one that I swear to God tire me out and I just hate to see them coming. Okay. When and one of them is revisions. Because what I understand is when I'm waiting on client feedback, these folks don't know how to give feedback. And it used to infuriate me because you just telling me you don't like it, or you just telling me make it bolder. When you say things like that, that is unclear how I do that with success. So that means I'm gonna have to keep going back and forth until what your version of bolder is that you couldn't even define to me. All of that, I know it when I see it. Nope, I'm not playing with you. Okay. So I noticed that my energy would drain on that. And so I would spend too much time trying to perfect something before I gave it to the client and still run into the same problem. So what I put into place when I saw that as a bottleneck, when I saw that as a drain, is I gave instructions on how to give feedback. Right. So I said, hey, you're given 3 options. The goal is for you to pick a base option. Okay. And then whatever from the other 2 options that you like, we can infuse it in that, and whatever else you want to add or take away, let me know. You see how when they tell me that allows me to move and actually revise it to their satisfaction instead of just asking what they think about it. And then they say, I don't like it. Where the hell am I supposed to go from I don't like it? What do you like? You didn't tell me, right? So that is record energy impact for every phase of your project. This helps you to identify patterns that slow you down and drain your creativity, so we can remove that. All right. Number 8, create a debrief ritual that updates your project systems in real time. Okay. So immediately after a project, we want to update any templates, any workflows, any communication scripts. This is going to prevent repeating the same mistakes, and it's going to double your efficiency over time. Okay. So you should be, if there's a problem during the project, of course you should solve the problem. That goes without saying. But when you look back and debrief the entire project, you look at what all the systems and processes you have in place and you update them. That's one thing you need to do. Also, after finishing a project, you need to give it some kind of score for profitability, some kind of score for client satisfaction, some kind of score for future opportunity. Why? Because this is going to help you to identify what types of projects you should do again. Because some of these projects at the end, the client got what they needed to get, you got paid, but when you look at it, you like, that was way too much trouble for the cost. And not only do I not want to raise the price, I just don't want to be bothered with that anymore. See, that's one of the privileges we have as entrepreneurs. We can pick the kind of clients we want, and we can pick the kind of projects we want to do. So you don't know a project you want to do if you never stop to think about it. So those are the two debriefs I want you to do. Updating from the debrief and deciding is it worth it from a profit standpoint, from a client satisfaction standpoint, and for future opportunities. All right, let's go to number 9. Track time to completion for pattern recognition. Okay, time to completion. So the time you start this project to the time that you complete it. Measure how long each phase actually takes instead of relying on estimates. Not only does this help you give more accurate preliminary timelines for your clients in the onboarding phase, because remember, we give them preliminary timelines. This is going to help you make that preliminary timeline more accurate, but it also gives you more accurate, it also prevents you from underpricing, and it exposes, I'm going to say, things that eat into your profit time-wise. So I want you to think about it from a point of view of, if you are a solopreneur and it's taking longer than you thought, guess what that's doing? It's holding up your capacity to take in new clients, new projects. So it's holding up your money. All right. Also, if you have a team and this thing is taking longer than you thought it's going to take, you're paying that team for longer than you thought you were going to have to pay them for the same thing that you already got paid for. Okay, so you expensed a certain number, and when it goes longer, hey, that expense grew, but that payment was already there. You don't get paid more because it went longer. You got to keep those kinds of things in mind. This is what makes it better, faster, for profit. All right. So that was time, track time to completion for pattern recognition. And mostly I want you to look at what's taking too long, and it's going to cost you more money in the end. Okay. But it can also help you in a positive way. If you're tracking the time and you realizing that this project actually takes you less time than you thought, now you have what we have discussed before as time as a highlight, time as a unique selling proposition, right? So if you're doing, let's go to my client that we do websites for. We started to realize that as I perfected and got efficient with those processes and led the team to get things done faster, like that feedback and the revision, baby, that saved us a lot of time. Now we can say we can do websites within 30 days. You see how that works? Now people are saying, wait, I've been working with this person on my website for about 3 months. You can do it in 30 days. Now that becomes a selling point. All right. So keep that in mind. Number 10, develop a project standard playbook for future delegation. I want you to hear this one, because this one is a game changer for when you start to scale. Create a centralized playbook that documents your exact standards for how projects are managed from kickoff to completion. Okay, a whole playbook of all the standards. This includes the expectations, the communication norms, the approval checkpoints, performance quality markers, how they know things are of quality, all that stuff. Because this is going to turn how you do things into direction for how you can now hire somebody else to do it. And let me tell you, when any of you want to open your capacity, when any of you want to go from solopreneur to agency model, one of the first things you're going to need is a project coordinator. And it can't be you. It cannot be you. So that role is defined by the delegation standards that you have put in place, right? So I don't want you to think about solo SOPs, standards of operating procedures. I don't want you to think about just single SOPs, random SOPs. I want you to think about a cohesive playbook for this type of project every time it happens. That's what we need. So that project coordinator can come in with that playbook and run these projects for you, period. All right. I hope you see the value in that, because that is a game changer. That is one of the first things I put in place for businesses when I come in as a fractional COO and I see that they're ready to scale or open capacity. That's one of the first things that I put in place. All right. Cool beans. Now, our questions, it's not hard. It's the same ones from yesterday because they still apply for today. So let me drop them in the studio. All right. Let me drop them over here on the YouTube side. Boom. All right. YouTube got them. So the questions are, is there one of the strategies from today that would have saved you time, money, and headaches on a past project? Okay, because this is what would have made it better or faster. Also, what strategy from today, a different one than the other one, okay, do you feel will help you get through projects more easily to get you to the money quicker? All right, so those are the two questions. We're going to start with Cheryl when we come back after the recap. So let's get into this recap, because I know it's a lot. But there isn't a point in these 10. There isn't a strategy in this 10 I gave you that will not make your projects better, faster, and worth more money. Okay? So, number one, identify project X and install boundaries around them. What gives you the ick? Make you not want to do something. Make it excruciating for you to do it. Put in a boundary that helps you to either alleviate it, eliminate it, or make it better. Okay? Number two, standardize the handouts between your project phases. It's not enough to just have a project complete, a phase complete. It needs to, as a part of its completion, be handed off to the next person responsible for the next phase, okay? Number three, install a completion cost audit before you put a project in place, and go back and re-audit as the project is going on, because we want to make sure that what we anticipated spending as an expense for this project is the same. If not, it could be eaten into our profit. Okay. Number four, adopt a quality threshold review before final deliveries. There needs to be a point in between something being done and it being given to your client. Okay. You guys have heard it before. There's quality assurance. Okay. Well, quality assurance is a checkpoint in between a deliverable being created and it being given to your client. So that should be in place, whether it's just you doing it or you have a team member, especially if you got a team member. Number five, use a project capacity rule to block overcommitment. You need to know how long it takes you to do stuff so that you know your capacity of how many projects you can have going at one time. And again, that doesn't mean you don't take money for somebody for a project that you can't do right now. It means you take a deposit and you explain to them about when you'll get to it. Okay? Number six, define completion standards. Remove confusion about when things are completed. There are too many people just checking off stuff and don't know what completion looks like, should feel like, should result in. And that should be a part of how you explain how something is finished. There needs to be the standard of what makes it finished. Number seven, record energy impacts for every project phase. How does it leave you feeling? Okay, especially if you're a solopreneur. How does this phase leave you feeling? Does it drain you too much? Is there a change we need to put in place so that it's not draining you? Okay, cool beans. And let's go positive. If it's a phase that you're happy with, then when you start delegating, that might be the last phase that you delegate because you're happy with that one. Okay. Number eight, create a debrief ritual that updates systems in real time. Okay, so we've already talked about when projects are over, that's not the last time you should look at it. You should go back and reflect on the project and say, okay, what went well, what went wrong, and we need to now upgrade our systems, our processes, our templates, all our resources having to run this project so that we don't go into that anymore. Okay, also you need to look at the profitability of it. Is this project still worth it as an offer? Okay, number nine, track time to completion from start to end. We need to know what that pattern is. Is it the same as we expected? Does it take longer or does it take shorter? We need to know that. Number 10, develop a project standards playbook so that in the future, you can create a project coordinator position to run these projects, pulling you out of them so that you can do what only you can do. And now somebody is watching over every client project to make sure that things are getting done the way they're supposed to based on your playbook. All right. So let's go to Cheryl. Cheryl, is there one of the strategies from today that would have saved you time, money, and headaches in a past project? Also, give me another strategy from today that will help you to get through your projects more easily to get to the money.
I'm trying to find the one that I circled. One of the things that well, first of all, I need to tell you, out of everything you shared with us this week, this is the golden 10.
Oh, yeah.
This is it. But the thing that has worked for me in the past is the you talked about the project playbook. I call mine SOPs, but I have one for every project, every business. It's like it's the whole business admin side is made up of these SOP playbooks. It makes life simple just
It
for
does.
me. And I haven't hired a project coordinator. When you said that, it was like, oh my goodness, I can do that. I'm ready to go. What I do, what I do want to, oh my goodness, it's like all of um, Shay,
Mm-hmm.
um, is I think the debrief,
Yeah.
so that things can be updated in real time. That hits it all. As far as being able to know that I not only have quality assurance for them, but I have it
Mm-hmm.
for me as well. One thing I will say that helped me along the way was in doing the cost audit.
Mm-hmm.
One of my mentors told me in the beginning, you may not know what you don't know. Obviously, that's why we're trying to figure it out. So add in a certain percentage to your cost. You know, when we're pricing, then
Mm-hmm.
add in a certain percentage to cover that, because there's always something that pops up. It's always something new. But anyway, thank you so much for this.
No
I'm
problem.
just like, I'm dumbfounded. And you know
Yeah, we're
that
gonna even show notes
that's
for
a
this
lot
one,
for
right?
me.
Cool beans. I love that. And thank you for the value add. I appreciate that. Let's go to Dr. LaFera. Dr. LaFera, is there one of the strategies from today that would have saved you time, money, or headaches on a past project? And then give me another strategy that you know will help you in the future get through your projects easier and get to that money quicker.
Good morning.
Martin.
Mhm. I let's see. So I one that I in the past should have done was standardized handoffs between tasks. So number two, and number five, for is it for project capacity rule or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can't do something like take a prepayment, the question is like, how
Mm-hmm.
far in advance are you taking prepayments? And like, what do you tell them? Like, okay, like this is gonna be this long, but uh, do you put some type of like FOMO on them, like making the payment? You know?
I do. I do both. So I give them a timeline and I do FOMO, right? So the FOMO is, hey, if you put a deposit, then you're gonna be next, and we're gonna get started with you. This is second part, estimated at this point, right? Because you should know where you
Mm-hmm.
are with these other projects, and so you
Yeah.
should know when you can
Okay.
kind of get to them. You just know you can't get to them right now. You're not gonna start today. You're not gonna start this week, right? So it could be we're going to start in 2 weeks, or it could be we're going to start at the top of the month, but only if you give me your deposit and seal that
But
position.
you won't go any further than what time period? And further out.
That depends on you and the client. What are you comfortable not going further with? And it's always still the client's decision. You see what I'm saying? You're giving them enough
Yeah.
information to make a
Yeah.
decision. That's what makes it okay to
Mm-hmm.
take a deposit. You can't just take a deposit, not tell them when you think you're gonna get to it, because they could have gave that money to
Yeah.
somebody else if they needed it sooner. So you always let it be their
Right.
decision.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And that's
Thank you.
Dr. LaFerry, you and I have talked about presumptive closings, right? That can be a part of your presumptive close when you know you are currently at capacity. A part of the presumptive close could be, do you, the deposit is so and so. Would you like to put that, what form of payment would you like to use so that we can get started on your project by insert future date? You see that? All right, Dr.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go to Dr. Latoya. Dr. Latoya Davis, is there one of the strategies from the day that would have saved you time, money, or even headaches on a past project? And give me another project strategy from today that you feel will in the future help you get through your projects easier and get to the money faster.
I don't, when thinking about past projects, just because I don't do projects in that way, I don't see one of those. But moving forward, and just thinking about being able to actually, do the things that only I can do, and being able to use my team more efficiently, creating the playbook, I think will be wonderful. Particularly like as I see my team building out, right? When it was just me and the one person, that was different, but now as the different players and the people and the things that I'm like, wait, I don't have to do this anymore. Right. So that part is going to be really, really beneficial for me.
Cool. One thing I want to add for you is you were notorious for taking one-on-one clients in the past. And I want you to understand that all that was case management, which are projects. So if you ever decide to do one-on-ones again, you do need to look at each one-on-one client as its own project.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's only in that time. You know what I'm saying? Like there is no prep, there is no extra cost. You call me. I don't even call you. You call me at the time. You booked it online. We had our session and that was it. And then the email sent you an automation. So it's not like the marketing part is the part for that. Which I am also in this new thing of having more people on the team. I am thinking about cost allocation, right? So even though it's like I need to make sure that the clients are absorbing the cost of the social media manager, right? Of the this, of the that. So I am taking that part into account.
Love it. Love it. Cool beans. All right. Let's go to Dr. Tachi. Dr. Tachi, is there one of the strategies from today that would have saved you time, money, or headaches from a past project? Also, give me another strategy from today that you feel that in the future will help you to get through your projects easier and get to that money faster.
Yes. Installing a complete cost audit before and during. And for the future, the standardized playbook.
Yes, I love that y'all like that. That playbook is instrumental. Let me tell you, that's why I did it last. Because I was like, this kind of puts it all together. Because I feel like all the other things would go into the playbook. So that's why I said the playbook last. But yeah, that playbook is a game changer. Because when you are able to hire somebody to just push deadlines to make sure everything is done the way the process is supposed to, because that's the difference between being in the weeds and trying to get stuff done and having somebody oversee everybody in the weeds. This is how you produce quality. So yes, I love that y'all saw the value of that. Let's go to Shawana Kennedy Media, and just know you can't say playbook for nothing, Shawana. Everybody already said it, so pick something else.
This is so not fair. This is not.
So lame. It's not. Deal with it. So the first question was, is there one of the strategies that would have saved you time, money, or headaches on a past project? And also pick a separate strategy that in the future will help you to get through your projects more easily and get to that money faster.
Yes, the thing that right at the top was number one, boundaries. Boundary.
Yeah.
And then also the audit. Honestly, the audit during the process, the audit. Yeah, because I actually had the 3, and yes, for the record, playbook was on my list, but boundary was number one because it would have saved me headache. In all the categories, it would have saved me had I had and stuck to the boundary. Let me add that. So yeah, those are it for me.
I will give you credit for having recognized that it was an issue, even though when we talked about it, you weren't quite sure on how to resolve the issue. But I feel like you was feeling that ick. You was feeling that thing heavy to understand something needs to be done. So I do.
Yeah, that's honestly the thing too, because sometimes we know it like on the surface, but when it start doing other things physically to you, and you can feel it in your belly, something got to change.
Exactly. And again, us being entrepreneurs owning our own business, we have the privilege to have a business that we like and pick clients that we want. And so our processes need to be aligned, and that is our privilege to have them aligned. Okay, I've had clients tell me before, hey, if I ran my business like that where I don't meet on Fridays, my clients wouldn't be happy. Sweetheart, I don't have the same business that you have, and I weep for you that you're not able to do that if that would be more aligned for you. But that has nothing to do with me. This is my business that's aligned, and if you would like to not do business with me because I'm not available on Fridays, that's your privilege, but I'm not changing my Fridays for you. You know what I'm saying? So I love that for us as entrepreneurs.
Amen.
I see Dr. LaFera has a question, but first let me tell you what Heather said. Heather said, I could have saved more time and money with identifying the ick in past projects, but the strategy that she wants to use in the future to save time and get to that money quicker is creating completion standards. She says she has some, but they're not super defined. So I love that. Dr. Tachi said, not I weep for thee, I do. And do, because it ain't got nothing. It's not gonna make me change my standards and my boundaries, because they don't get to do it. Maybe you should get to do it. I've heard the same thing about my 5th-week vacations too. I wish I could get a vacation every quarter. Well, sweetie, if you set your business up, I mean, it's your business. Why don't you have it set up for you to do that? So they don't have nothing to do with moi, because moi is out of here every 5th week. Okay. Okay, let's go to Dr. LaFera. Dr. LaFera, you got your hand up. You got a question?
I do. For that playbook,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't paying good attention, but I was paying some attention.
Okay.
And so for the playbook, I think I heard you say something about, well, I heard you say something about when you pass it off to someone else on the team, and I think I heard you say something about when you get like a person that does operations, or like a supervisor or some type of person, and
Project
that's the
coordinator.
okay, project coordinator. Is that what you said? Like
It is.
you hand that off to them.
Yeah.
So when you put that playbook together, are you putting together? Are you just bringing together like all the other little project and tasks, all the other tasks that you have, and like kind of putting it all together in like order of where it should go, like and like maybe like what you said, the like the why you're doing it, are like how are you doing this playbook?
Yes. So how I'm doing the playbook is, think about if you turn the project into a client journey, right? Then you know there are the phases of the project, the steps in the phases, and there's the handout from one phase to another in the project. So everything is documented. But the different people that do different things as you grow a team, they may or may not understand what's happening that's not their part, right? And so they may only really have specific information about their part. The project coordinator should have a higher big picture view, and therefore they're running the entire project from person to person, task to task, phase to phase to completion, and they're quality assuring all along the way. So they would need to have access to all SOPs for every step of every piece of this project, and that is your playbook. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that project coordinator is not executing any part of anything that needs to be done. Their job is to make sure the project as a whole is on task, on budget, on deadline, all of that. That's their job. And that's not usually somebody that you hire when you're not ready to scale. You see what I'm saying? But when you're ready to scale and take in more clients and build a team, then that person becomes uber important to have. Because otherwise, without it, either you're going to have to do it or things are going to get lost. And you're going to get a whole bunch of client complaints about how, they're tired of things coming to them raggedy and this and that and whatever. And, hey, it's been 2 weeks since I heard about this. Or, you know what I'm saying? That's when all that stuff starts to happen, because nobody's looking at the project from a bird's eye view. So that's when it becomes, you're known for running things. So, Dr. LaFera, when you first met me, that's who I was in that capacity for that client. So remember, I didn't execute anything for you. I moved everything along in your project and made sure everything happened well for everything that had to do with what you as the client, that project was for, expected to receive. You remember that? Okay, Dr. LaFera, I'm waiting on your feedback. Do you remember that?
I do. My hands are wet. I'm trying. Yes, I remember it.
Okay, so that's what I was in that capacity. And so that's what made us be able to have 20 clients at a time, at the same time. So that's why that was important. Let's go to Dr. Tachi, since you're over there wetting hands and shit. Dr. Tachi, did you have a question?
Yes. So with let me get back to it. The tracking time to complete and measure so you know how long each phase is. Say it's a new project. Is there a way to semi-accurately guess, right, how much time it would take?
There's no way to semi-accurately, unless you know how long the individual tasks take, then you can add up the individual tasks to then know how long this phase should take. And then when you put those phases together to know how long the project is going to take. That's the only way to kind of do it.
Okay, so basically, it really does have to be done first before. I wasn't asking for like an accurate time, but just something to give you a roundabout time so you don't spend a lot of wasted time on things like, oh, I don't really need to do that. You just really have to go through it, I suppose.
You do. So it's no different than anything you do for the first time. You do your best with the information you have to put together what could work, right? And then you go through it. And while you're going through it, this is when you're recording your icks. This is when you're recording what's not happening correctly. And this is where at the end you go back and look at all of that stuff while you're done with the project and you perfect it. And you do that each time, and then it gets better and better. But it also is where Cheryl said with her value add, which is instead of only calculating getting paid off that estimate you come up with, have a little buffer in there where you increase the price a little bit to take on the fact that it may go longer, or you might have to do more, or you might have to add in another tool that costs money. Does that make sense, Dr. Tachi?
Yes, because that was more so a concern on price as well. Yes.
Yeah. And so there have been plenty of times where even because again, we're human, we're imperfect, we're not going to get things right the first time. There have been times when I had to give more of my time that made it eat into my profit, or sometimes even made it not profitable at all. It didn't even out, right? But I immediately changed shit. So the next time I take a client like that, it is not going to happen the same way. Or I immediately decide I don't want to do that shit ever again. You see what I'm saying? Which is why, as a part of these strategies today, I put those things in place. Look at your profitability, look at your ick factor, decide if you want to make these things better so that the next one doesn't have those same problems, or even decide if you ever want to do it again. That's why I put those in as a strategy. These are coming from me running projects and running to problems, because even me being more equipped than maybe y'all, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm a beast at running projects, but that doesn't make me perfect at running projects. So if I'm doing something for the first time, there's usually something I'm realizing, hey, this is not working. And you guys have seen it when I've given workshops. Y'all that's been with me for a long time, y'all have seen the evolution of my workshops. And most of the time it's come from me going through this process, because those workshops are a project, right? Putting them together, getting all the marketing assets, actually servicing them, and all of that. So you have seen different iterations of it, and they've changed either because something gave me the ick, something made me have to spend more time on it than I should have, something made it not, I felt like didn't get you enough of a transformation, something about it made it where I feel like you didn't have enough tools for your transformation, so that when we went past, so that's how we got good stuff in there, right? That's how we started having custom GPTs to help you when I'm not around. That's when we started having, oh, let's go ahead and give you some templates and all of that. So it's okay that it's not perfect the first time. It's just not okay for you to let it stay broke. I hope they help. I feel like I was very passionate about that. Cheryl.
You were very passionate, and it was on point, definitely. Dr. Tachi, one of the things that I have done for me, and this may just be my personality, is that before I offer anything, I put myself as the client and I work the project for me. This helped me discover a lot of times I'm not willing to do this for anybody else. You see what I'm saying? Or I like this part of it, but the rest of it sucks apples. So at the end of the day, that has saved me a great deal of angst. It has helped me establish, time frames. Anything can happen when we go, live. But I do have an idea of how long it should take me with something. I also learned there were other things I need to learn before I launched the project, if I stayed with it or not. So hopefully, that might help it may take a little more time in the evolution of the offer getting to, a real client. At the same time, I found that it's been much more satisfying for me as the coach or whatever I may be doing, because I know my capacity emotionally, mentally, and physically for that project.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love that. All right. Well, again, with the projects, we've talked about why they're important. We've talked about what the project life cycle is. We talked about the project management systems as a hub. We've talked about managing the projects as far as what you should do as a flow while you're in the actual executing of the project. And today we talked about optimizing that project for, for it to be of better quality, more efficient, and to get you to more money. Okay. So all of this, I hope that you see now how this is Project to Profit, which was the name of the game. And so looking at the whole process and not just what we talked about today, but including what we talked about today, are there any more questions, any more value adds, and any more aha moments? Because I know projects are very key. I also know projects can be intimidating, especially as an entrepreneur. But basically, your business is filled with projects internally and externally. So if you have any questions about them, I really want to make sure that I give you what you need. Cheryl.
I have an aha moment. I
Okay.
keep having this nightmare about this group ending because we have so much fun here. But thank you for this. This is by far a good way to start the day. After your prayer and meditation, you get in the group and there you go.
Cool beans. Thank you for that, Cheryl. So don't forget, we still are live 2 days next week to end the full experience. But let's go to what's happening. Tomorrow is the Get Shit Done work session from 1 p.m. Eastern Time to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. It is a privilege it's a right of the paid membership, but we give a privilege to the free group a couple of times a month. So that is happening tomorrow. Your save the dates next week. Not Monday and Tuesday. We do not go live Monday and Tuesday because of the Veterans Day holiday and my sanity. So we're off Monday, we're off Tuesday. Then we come back in on the 12th and 13th, which is Wednesday and Thursday. And we come live and we're going to do the one thing live coaching where you're going to tell me the one thing you think is in the way of you either getting to your first 6 figures or getting to your next 6 figures. Okay. And then on the 13th, that's going to be our very last broadcast. And you're going to tell me all the things you liked about the morning show, all that. We're going to do a farewell to it. Okay. Then Saturday of next week, November the 15th, save that date, Winter Boot Camp Intensive. It is your big fat money year planning for 2026. The link is live. Go to shaycannon.com/winter. If you need your coupon code to save, it should be posted. If not, inbox me and I will give it to you. But don't forget, you got disappearing bonuses. And the first one to disappear is going to be the super bonuses. The second one to disappear, the regular bonuses. And then by next Friday, all coupon codes will expire and you will have to pay that full $297. So keep that in mind. All right. So the full November calendar is coming out today. That's actually what I'm going to work on after the morning show. So if you are in the paid membership, use your link for the impromptu work sessions because we're going to have one directly after this morning show. Okay. Well, with that, this has been the Her 6 Figures Morning Show, which is more of an interactive and training experience for our free business mastermind. So that positions Black and brown female online service-based entrepreneurs to generate your first 6 figures by learning how to make the money and create time freedom. If you want to know more about me, your host, Shay Cannon, then I want you to go to the description below. You'll find out about me and you'll get some resources like the link to the free business mastermind group and how to get the show notes with all of these strategies. You know you need those, okay? So you can get those from today and past recent episodes. Again, that is in the description below. If you have not already, this has been an amazing episode. Give us a thumbs up and like this episode. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel because there is still way more value coming your way, even though this morning show is going away. The value is not. We're going to give you value in other ways. Also, today's episode was 1 video in a 4 video series. So check out the other videos. And with that, your morning show is coming to an end, and the studio is closing in 5, 4, 3, 2,